Chains of friendship, fires of betrayal. In the heart of the old Agala kingdom, nestled between dense forests and winding rivers, there lay a village called Amagid. It was a land where drums spoke, spirits whispered in the winds, and friendships were sealed with kola nut and blood. Amid the vibrant huts of red clay and palm fronds, two boys, Adoga and Enekole, grew up as brothers. Adoga, the quieter of the two, was the son of a blacksmith, his hands already learning the way of fire and iron. Enekole, bold and wild like the Harmattan wind, was born into a lineage of hunters, his arrows sharp, his eyes sharper. They did everything together, hunted squirrels in the bush, swam naked in the Onyinye stream, danced in the moonlight during the Eid festival, and whispered dreams into the night sky. They promised never to leave each other. Like the moon and the river, Enekole said, we'll always reflect each other. But the world outside Amagid was changing. Strange men with pale skins and strange tongues came with cloths that shimmered and guns that thundered. They sought ivory, kola, and worst of all, people. When the white men came again, they didn't come alone. They came with interpreters, Africans dressed in fine clothes, riding horses, offering gifts, and making quiet deals in the night. Chief Agwach, lured by rum and gold, allowed them to speak to the villagers. Enekole was one of those chosen to guide them through the forest. Adoga warned him, "These men are shadows, Enekole. Shadows don't walk in daylight unless they come for something." But Enekole had tasted the white man's sugar and worn his cloth. He wanted more. He wanted a life beyond the village drum. And soon, the shadows whispered a terrible thing in his ear. One dry season morning, as Adoga followed Enekole into the forest for what he thought was a hunting trip, they were ambushed. For men, Africans with ropes and machetes fell upon Adoga. He fought hard, his fists like stones, but he was overpowered. As they dragged him away, he saw Enekole standing with the slavers, not even looking at him. Betrayal. The word burned harder than any whip. Adoga was taken far, through forests and across rivers, until he reached the slave camp by the coast. There, he was beaten, branded, and forced to work carrying logs, digging trenches, building holding cells. He never cried, not once. His heart became stone, and inside that stone was the face of Enekole. Years passed. He watched men die, women disappear, and children sold. But he stayed alive. He learned the tongues of the traitors, the schedules of the guards, the weaknesses in the fences. Then one stormy night, lightning split the sky and confusion reigned. Adoga made his move. He broke free, knifed two guards, and ran into the forest. For weeks he wandered, feeding on roots and river fish, until he found a trader who recognized the blacksmith's mark on his wrist, a mark his father had carved into his skin when he was a boy. The trader helped him return to Amagid. When Adoga returned, Amagid had changed. The old chief was dead. A new one sat on the stool, Enekole. He had grown rich and powerful, feared by many. He wore white wrappers and gold necklaces, but his eyes were hollow. One evening, as the village gathered for the yam festival, a stranger walked into the square. Adoga, scarred, silent, unblinking. People whispered. The dead had returned. Enekole froze. For a second, the mighty chief was a boy again, lost in the forest with his friend. Adoga walked to him, threw a slave shackle at his feet, and said, "You sold your moon. Now the river is rising." What followed is still spoken of in Amagid, how Adoga challenged Enekole to the ado, the sacred duel of truth and honor. How Enekole, once brave, trembled before the friend he betrayed. They fought with staffs under the moon, sweat and blood mixing with old memories. In the end, Adoga disarmed him but did not kill him. Instead, He spoke. I have already died once. I leave you to live with what you've become. Adoga left the village again, but this time not as a slave. He became a wandering blacksmith, known for forging blades that told stories and bells that sang freedom. Enekole lived on, but his name no longer echoed with pride. He ruled, but he was never king in the hearts of the people again.